Hi, Sandra here from Creating Spain. Hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to be transferring images, or at least telling you how to transfer images to non-porous objects. Now these images have been printed with my Inkjet printer. Yes, Inkjet onto non-porous. There's a very clever workaround for this. Now normally when you do image transfer, it tends to be if you're doing anything other than something like t-shirts, it tends to be that you have to use a laser printer in order to do it. So this happens to be a piece of a document folder. I cut it down to A4 size and I was able to put it through my printer without any difficulty. There was some prep work involved though. First of all, I took my piece of plastic and I sprayed it with my usual adhesive spray that I use for doing my mats for cutting, and I allowed it to dry for a minute or two. It's fast drying, so I didn't have to wait very long. And then I applied some PVA glue over the top of that. Now you may be thinking, well, you just applied glue all over the plastic, what do you need PVA for? Very good reason. The PVA glue goes on top of the spray glue, because if you spray a normal spray glue, it's sticky. And you can't put something sticky through your printer. But on the other hand, you need something for the ink to adhere to on a slick surface, i.e. the plastic. But you need that image to be able to come off and go on to something else afterwards. Complicated, isn't it? Take it from me. Spray with a spray adhesive, or you could use a paint lacquer if you don't have the spray adhesive. Okay. I prefer using my spray adhesive because I've got it to hand and it doesn't smell quite as strong as the paint lacquer. So you spray it with that and then you need to coat it with your PVA. Now, first of all, I tried using spreaders to coat it and I had absolutely no luck. I ended up in a right mess with that. I couldn't get an even coat. And what I ended up using was this, which is a foam roller for, I think it's for wallpapering or something. And I just put the glue on top of this and rolled it, and a minute or so later it was done. And I allowed it to dry. And you know when it's dry because PVA glue will go clear when it's dry, or more or less clear. So it no longer looks white, it's transparent. So I was then able to print my images. And all I did was I used a normal quality print because this is test pieces. I didn't make the print quality really high or anything. And to be honest, that may be a mistake anyway, because if you put too much ink on, it may well run, even though you've treated it. So it went through the printer, got my images printed. When it comes to putting it onto a slick surface, I chose a ceramic tile, and why not? And I have departed again from the usual things that you might use to make things stick onto tiles, because the sort of things they normally use probably aren't going to work too well when you're using an inkjet printer. And I am right, they don't work that well. This one here was done using Liquitex, and I didn't even let this set eventually because I could see that it had blurred and it was useless. Not going to give me a good image at all. So what I did use was my polymer gel, which I use for making my stamps, my UV polymer gel. Now the main reason I actually tried this in the first place is because I'm impatient, and I thought this is a quick way, possibly, of transferring the images because I don't have to wait for anything to dry. And I don't. 2 minutes under a UV lamp, I'm done. And it worked brilliantly. There is a slight snag. If you're anywhere other than Spain, you probably can't get NG7 gel. You may be able to get another clear polymer colourless stamp making gel, if you're lucky, somewhere. The VX55 worked in exactly the same way, but is slightly tinted. Now, depending on the colour of your design and whether it's all over a tile, it may not make much difference, you may not really notice it. But a small thing like this, yes you would, because it colours the tile. Now to do this, all I did was I took some of my gel, I just swiped it onto the tile with one of the spreaders, easy enough to do, And then I took my image ink side down, put it on top, and put my nail lamp over the top for 2 minutes. Took it away, and you can peel it off, easy peasy, no problem at all. So my next thought was, okay, if you can't get the NG7 and the VX55 is tinted, what can the majority of people get their hands on that will work in the same way? And the answer was this stuff. This is a cheap UV gel soak-off gel for nail work. You can build nails with it. And it's a very similar consistency, in fact, to the polymer gels that I use for stamp making. But don't think you can use this for stamp making because it won't work, because this goes to a solid plastic. If you've ever bought fake nails, when this stuff hardens, that is the type of plastic this feels like, okay? But it is extremly viscous stuff. So I've got a piece of tile here I can show you on, and I just get one of my prints. I can actually show you how it's done. So here we go. Take some of the gel and put it onto the tile. It's very, very sticky, so it's not the easiest of things to brush. A palette knife would probably have been easier, but hey ho. There we are. Put it down on top of there and press down so that it is well sealed and you don't have any bubbles. And then before you do anything else, put the lid on this because it's UV gel. It is activated by sunlight or UV light, and you really do not want to have that setting in its pot. The brush can be cleaned up with alcohol or acetone, and since I've got isopropyl alcohol there, I'm just going to stick my brush in that for the moment. And then once that is in place, take this, and I'm just going to put a lamp on it for 2 minutes, and then I'll show you what it's like when you peel it off. Now this one has had 2 minutes under the lamp, so let's see what's happened, and hopefully we'll have our design. There we go. Turned out perfectly. I mean, bearing in mind this stuff is supposed to go on your nails, and it takes a lot of abuse on nails. Now at this point you may be wondering why I didn't use things which most people have in the house. And obviously that depends on your household. Yes, I have polymer gels. The reason is because they don't actually work, basically. This one I tried using normal PVA glue on the tile and it smudged irreparably, just wasn't going to use. This one is actually a silicone sealant like you would use in a bathroom or a kitchen. It's a transparent one. I had hopes for this, but unfortunately it actually did adhere to the plastic backing a little bit, and also when I put my finger over it I can feel the silicone, which you might think isn't a great problem, but you are going to have to wash that off, get it off thoroughly if you are going to varnish this. Now if you're intending to transfer an image as an art piece that's going to hang on the wall, it's not going to get touched or anything, all you need to do is to apply a layer of varnish and you're set to go. If you want to do a coaster or a table mat or something like that, I would suggest that you actually apply a proper resin to it and seal it with a resin. If you do that, it's going to last a lot better. If you just top this off with a varnish normally, you'll find hot coffee mugs, for example, will stick to it, or they may melt the varnish, or it may cause rings on the varnish. It's not really going to be very usable. For cold drinks, you'll probably get away with it as long as you apply enough varnish layers to make sure the condensation can't get through to your design. It'll probably be fine, but definitely not for hot drinks. So when it comes to the actual consistency of the stuff that I've removed from this tile, this one was the little pot of gel, little UV gel, and it forms a bendable plastic version of the design. But you can just take this and get it off, as I did there. And the ones done with the polymer gel that I use for stamp making, these form window stickers basically. If I hadn't taken it off, or if I wanted to remove it and put it somewhere else on the tile, I can simply smooth it down and it's there. That's not a problem. But I could use it as a window sticker if I wanted to, or to decorate something else if that's what I wanted to do with it. So there we go, that's how to use an inkjet printer to transfer designs onto a non-porous surface. Hope you found it useful.